Hey, good evening. Welcome to the second meeting of the AITP Club. I'm going to be the talking head again tonight, and that's my first Let's try not to be above 60 this time. First things first, we have a survey from the department director for you. If you don't get a copy, that's okay. We'll get it up on the website for you to be able to fill out anonymously if that meets with the survey goals. Please pass on, fill out, and take your time. Also, we are going to be mostly covering things on our professionalism domain tonight, because in case you don't know already, the College of Computing Career Fair is when?
Wednesday.
Okay. How many people are going? For how many of you will this be your first career fair or your first time doing a resume? Okay. So we'll probably talk about some of those things. And this is a hacking problem. This is a social engineering hacking problem. How do you make yourself, one, be identified as qualified, two, stand out from everyone else and do so in a professional manner, and three, not stand out as being overqualified. So research your target like any hacking problem. Other things that are going on are before we get into that, a couple organizational club ongoing events things. One, the big AITP national organization has been asking us whether or not we'll send anyone to the AITP convention in Atlanta, Georgia in a couple of months. It is about $300 a head, I believe, for student registration. Officers have not had time to thoroughly research this, and we are also a little bit deadlocked. So I'm asking for about 4 volunteers to get together, research it, and come back in 2 weeks with recommendations. What is the value added? Should we send people? Research on costs, recommendations as to how much are we going to subsidize? Should we, if we send people, are they doing it out of pocket? Can I get some volunteers, please? Okay, who else? I'm looking for at least 4.
So I saw 2 hands up.
I saw Travis, I saw
Yep.
Megan. Okay, I got Brittany and Matt
got
and
more than
Spence. Okay, I've got 5. So in 2 weeks, this group of people who are going to get together will come back and give us a report on what's the value added, how much it'll cost, what size we think our team should be, if we think there's value add, and which way we think we should subsidize based on the costs. If that requires fundraising, then we'll come and do fundraising associated with that. Also, on that note, we have club officers. We are working to set up the UNF chapter of the AITP, the dues paying organization, which, one level down from big national AITP. We have about 4 members in that who are dues paying members. If I remember right, there are 10 or 12 officer positions when we set up a chapter. So we need enough people to be dues paying members to at least fill the officer billets before we're going to hold elections for the officer billets on that one. So that will most likely be an off-site thing. Evan?
I believe it's 10 officers for the chapter for the national AITP.
Okay, thank you. All right, so first question for you going into the career fair. Who knows what an elevator speech is? Who's used to it? Okay, actually, who knows what an elevator speech is? Okay. No, the elevator speech is, in short, hi, I'm so-and-so, I'm a major in the College of Computer Sciences, and I'm interested in this type of work from you, or I'm interested in working with you, as well as adding something to distinguish yourself and thinking about how you're going to do that in a professional manner and continuing that interaction on. So who wants to come up here and give an elevator speech? Okay, I'll break the ice. Hi, I'm Aaron Wagner. I'm a qualified technical manager and prospective software engineer, and I'd be interested in doing part-time work with you to gain skills to that end. And shaking the person's hand while I say that. Okay, crickets on the volunteers. All right, so let's step back from this and look at the problem of social engineering, or look at the hiring problem more generally. Are the people who are going to be on the floor part of the selection process?
Yes.
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 Most
Generally,
biggest part.
the people who are on the hiring, who are sent out there, will be some part of the hiring committee. If they're not, they will still have input into it.
I would probably say the biggest input because that's where your first impression is.
Yes. So where the first impression is, though, depending on the size of the organization, it may be after you go through the flapper process. I say flapper process, stealing something from Gulliver's Travels, the idea, and probably the part that you don't remember because it's the lesser read book, okay, let's rephrase that. The filter process, because in a large organization, the first thing that happens is either your resume goes through a computer that looks for keywords, or it goes through HR personnel who look for keywords and whether or not you're qualified for the position. Smaller organizations, you don't have that problem, or that filter isn't there. They get the stack of resumes, and they go maybe qualified, not qualified. They get to their crunch stack of people who are actually worth talking to. And they see how much scheduling time they have for interviews. They may do first call interviews or preliminary phone interviews to ask you some type of questions. Has anyone had that type of interview yet?
Yeah.
What type of questions were you asked?
Okay, well, I did it with Amazon just yesterday, so I'm pretty in the zone about it. But basically, these guys, they sent me an email, and that email was a link, and they asked
So
me
what
to,
position were you interviewing for? Was it software developer or was it?
I don't remember. It was a software programming kind of thing, just
Okay.
for whatever they do. And they actually had me. They asked me a question. Like one question was about linked lists and how I would delete something at a certain position or something. And they had me type up something right then and there for that.
So you use Google Docs for this?
It was something related to Google Docs, but yeah.
Well, it's a programming job. It's a software development.
Exactly.
job.
And so they're going to ask things about the professional area that you're applying for. If you're going to be doing object-oriented programming, which is what it sounds like, they're going to ask you about something dealing with object-oriented programming.
Yeah, so to add to what you said from my experiences, so I have been a software developer for a couple of years before I actually came to do my PhD in the US. So I have been on both sides of the interview table. I have taken a lot of interviews. I've given a lot of interviews. I've conducted a lot of interviews for IBM. So I was working with IBM. So to add to what he says, whenever you have that sort of conversation, it might be an informal conversation maybe, or it might be a telephonic call, first round of telephonic call or something like that. So apart from brushing up your skills to tally with what the job demands, of course you will have a very good idea about the kind of demands of that particular job you are applying for. So make sure that you have your homework done on the company as well, on the industry and the organization as well as what they exactly are looking for. So how basically you need to sell yourself. You are selling yourself. You are selling your skills, and somebody else is buying your skills. It's a business over here. It's a plain and simple business. So you have to sell yourselves properly. You have to let them know what you might offer them. So they're going to pay you basically. So they're going to buy your skills. So you must highlight what exactly you can offer, what skills you can offer to actually help them doing whatever they're doing in a better way. Okay, so make sure you do your homework to know the kind of stuff which is already going on in the organization. You will you browse their web pages thoroughly and get a fair idea about that. So just to let people know that you have done your homework and you are really interested to join them. Okay, so because at the end of the day, if you are hired and you choose to go somewhere else, it's a loss for them again, because they are devoting a lot of time and resources in the hiring process. Okay, so it's not for free. So yeah, they allot a lot of time and resources. So at the end of the day, if you are offered a position and you don't join, it's again a loss for them. They have to conduct that particular search again. All right, so they have to look for somebody else. So make sure you let them know, you give them a fair impression that you are really interested specifically to join their organizations, and what way you can contribute to improve things which they already are doing. Okay, so at least let them know. It might not be a very concrete area. It might be something on the vague side, but still, I mean, they must get an impression that you are really interested in the kind of technology they are working on right now. Okay, and you have at least thought about it, that you have thought of ideas of how to contribute given your skills, given your area of skills which you already have. Okay, so I mean, to do this, make sure that you have a fair homework done on the company before you actually go to talk to those people. Okay, all right. So you are aware of at least a few technologies, at least a few kind of work which is going on over there. Okay, so yeah, in addition to whatever he has said, I want to add that here.
Okay. Elevator speech resumes. Okay. So also the College of Computing has raised the dress code. The dress code is business, semi-formal, i.e. shirt, tie, slacks, minimum, desired suit. Not that hard to do. I have a personal opinion, a shop that I like to go to, but they're fairly expensive. And I have if you're interested in knowing who they are, talk to me offline. I'm not going to endorse anybody on video or say that I have a discount card membership with them or spent $2,000 when I was starting my professional wardrobe last year, here when I was getting out of the military. That said,
and to add to what you said, if you are invited to visit their campus, sometimes it happens that you have a first round of telephonic interview, then Amazon might interview you at their campus at Seattle or wherever they are located in it. That might happen, that you are asked to actually visit their campus and you have a day of interview where you talk to several project managers, several people basically, to get a feeling of that company. That happens. So just in case that happens, make sure that you have a spare set of formals with you, okay? Because just in case you might drop something on your formal, okay? And if you do not have a spare one, then you are uncomfortable. Clearly, you are uncomfortable over there. So make sure that you have a spare set of clothes with you if you go for on-campus, if you travel for on-campus job interviews. All right. So yeah.
I mean, that's a great example, Professor Roy. I'm a coffee drinker. Those of you who know me know I'm a excessive coffee drinker, and I drink from a sippy cup. I still spill coffee on me. When I
Yeah.
travel, I have 2 white shirts in my, one is on me and one is in the car. That said, the other one is, there's an old-fashioned saying about if you want to recognize, I'm forgetting the saying, how it comes out smoothly, but look at how a man's shoes are shined. If you are male, shine shoes. If you don't know how to shine shoes, I spent 11 years in the military. I'm in the lab all the time. I will leave my shoe shine kit in my car when I'm not using it so that we can go over how to do this. Okay. Let's see, how much more do we want to cover on these questions? Resumes. I'm not the best person to talk to on resumes. I'm still working mine through a couple different iterations. If, come Wednesday, you have not sent your resume to Ms. Snow, Sharon Snow, the department hiring advisor, twice, once for red lines, a second time after you correct your red lines, you are wasting money that you have already spent, because the college pays to have someone full-time here to do these things. That comes out of your fees. That is money out of your pocket you're not using. I was going to talk about having a portfolio on GitHub. I have not found enough definitively research-wise to see where it goes on your resume, how to put it on your resume. And Professor, have you used that, or could you speak to that?
Regarding the resume?
Regarding having academic programs that you've done, put together on a portfolio and putting that into your resume, or what the best way to present your body of work is.
Well, the way I did it, again, I had a few resumes, had a few versions of resumes done for industrial jobs. So the way I approached it is at the end of my PhD. So that was the final year. That was when I knew that I'm going to defend soon. Because you do not have that sort of a time frame for a PhD program as you have for undergrads or as you have for college. So it might take 5 years, it might take 6 years, or it might take a little longer for people. So the way I went is my first choice was, of course, always academics. I wanted to be in the academics. I wanted to be a university professor. That was my first choice. But I also had applied to a few industries as a backup. So just in case I do not get anywhere as an university professor, I do not get a faculty job, I still have to do something to earn a living, basically. So yeah, so the way I went is for the industrial jobs, I put up the kind of skills I have, the kind of programming skills I had. So most of them were like software developers job. I don't know what kind of jobs everybody is looking for over here, but since I had already worked as a developer with IBM for a couple of years before, I had a couple of years of experience as a software developer. So that's what I would have wanted to do had I been in the industry. Okay, so that's exactly I tailored my CV So I highlighted the software skills which I have, and also a few of the projects which I did, and a few of the awards and accolades I earned throughout. So I did a couple of internships again with IBM during my PhD. So I listed those projects. I highlighted those projects and the kind of awards I received. And also I made sure that my resume reflected that I have the necessary skills for what the job particularly demanded. Okay, so I made a thorough study of the particular job. Okay. Also, I saw some profiles of engineers who were doing that sort of job, who were in their positions. Okay. So then I made sure that I had those things highlighted in my resume, which reflected that actually I have the necessary skills to perform that particular job which I am applying for. Okay. So that was my approach when I applied for job in the industry. Okay. So I got 4 interview calls, but unfortunately I didn't interview anywhere because I already received this offer from UNF, and by then I had taken this particular job. But what usually happens, the way it works in the industry is that if you apply through their portal, it takes a little longer than if you talk to maybe somebody in a job career fair, and if you impress them enough to to get called at a later stage. Okay, so I actually applied through the job portals because at that point of time, unfortunately, there were no career fairs or anything of that sort happening in my school, because with PhD you don't know exactly when you are going to graduate. So at that point of time we did not have any career fairs, so I applied the usual way through the job portals of those organizations, and they usually take around 3 to 4 months to respond, and that happened. So by then I already had this job, so I refused everybody. I said that okay, I have already accepted a job, so I'm not available for a job hiring anyway. So yeah, so I would suggest that make sure that they get an impression that you have the necessary skills to perform the job you are applying for. Okay, apart from of course the obvious things that you would definitely want to highlight, the kind of achievements you have done, the kind of projects you have made, and maybe the kind of programming skills you have. Of course, you are going to highlight those things, but give them an impression that you have the necessary skills for the job at hand. Okay, otherwise, I mean, your skills are of no use. So if you do not, if you are not able to convince them that you have the necessary skills for that particular job, because they are usually very specific. Okay, so you have to make sure that in some jobs it's specifically mentioned that we are looking for a person with such and such skills. Okay, in that particular case, make sure that you mention that you at least have a subset of those skills which they are looking for, if not all. Okay, so
the how of that is when you may be passing out a general resume at the career fair. If a position comes up or they ask you to apply for something on the site, you should be tailoring your resume. Anytime I apply for a position, I am not sending them the resume that I have up on various websites. I am taking my resume and I am refocusing it because I'm taking the position description that they have posted and I'm looking for the keywords, tricky phrases that are in that resume. You know, we are looking for people with this experience doing this and this. And I'm looking at how my experience can be stated to have those keywords and tricky phrases in my resume. Because that first filter process I talked about, if you're unlucky and it's a really large organization using old HR processes, they have a computer system. It takes your resume, it scans for those words. If it doesn't find in it, you could be the expert in that field and not have used those words, and nobody even saw your resume. The computer just dumped it. It got discarded as not qualified. Or it could be HR people who know nothing about computer science. And so if those words aren't there, you know, they have a list of words. And I've had this as a challenge when I was working on the hiring side of the process. We had to make sure that the words were correct and specific enough in the position description that we sent to HR so that HR wouldn't kick people out because it wasn't on their resume. Now, that's a known part of the nature of the beast on some things. So people look at those words really carefully. It is the first few times you do it, it is easily a 2 or 3 hour process to tune your resume for a position you're applying to. And I haven't gotten under 2 hours yet. I know people who can do it in 30 minutes to an hour. I'm not one of them. Okay. Do we have any questions on resumes, elevator speech? Does anybody want to talk further on that? If somebody else has more expertise to add, please speak up. Okay, I'm no longer the talking head, and we're going to talk a little bit about Windows 8 since most of you have expressed an interest in doing the Microsoft developer path, since Windows is offering the money for applications, and we're going to use that to learn other ways to do apps. Spence is going to talk a little bit about Windows 8, and there's been a lot of people who have had frustration with Windows 8 because it's different from Windows 7. Something I understand is, hey, Windows 8 came out last year or year before. We were talking about this earlier today. Year before, so.
Last fall, or 2 falls ago.
So Windows 8 is already 2 years into its life cycle. Windows normally operates on 8-year life cycle. That is, any operating system is only around for 8 years. If Windows 8 has already been out for 2 years, Windows 7 has been around for 4 years, that means in 4 years it will no longer be antivirus supported. Now, Windows has a fairly lockstep, effective life cycle. I used to plan a couple things around this, and that's, in 4 years they'll stop security patching it. Unless you have $1 million in your back pocket to pay them to security patch you, you're gonna have to update to another operating system. Though I heard that they may be trying to get 9 out faster because of the bad press 8 received.
You're talking about an 8-year cycle. That 8-year cycle is more, they release an operating system because users want operating systems, kind of like 7. Like XP was out and people liked it, but someone wanted an update. They were working on Windows 7, but they weren't finished, so they patched together Vista, gave it to the consumers, and used the consumers as beta testers. So that 8-year cycle for 7 was more Vista till now, will be the cutoff, same with 8. They have 8.1, which is like an update, which didn't really add much, and then Windows 9 is just going to be an add-on to that. Windows has done
Okay, programmatically, Windows will support an operating system on average for 8 years. There's a lot of big contracts that are surrounded by this, because when you think about how things have, the labs need new computers right now, right? Okay, you have to plan your updates for enterprise networks, those capital upgrades to computer systems where you replaced everybody's desktop. You have to plan how often you're going to do that, and you have to plan that so that your usual midline desktop box will support the next, but not necessarily the one after that operating system. It's one of those big business planning, and where Microsoft is the OS provider for most big business today, it's something that's fairly regulated to keep all the other businesses happy. More filler? Okay.
So are you saying that we're getting Windows 8 computers?
I'm not saying that we're getting Windows 8 computers. I'm saying that for the Microsoft Developers Club to get in on the money that Windows is offering for uploading applications to the Microsoft App Store, you need to be using Windows 8 and Microsoft Visual Studios. I talked about in the weekly email, please email Larry Sneddon or Professor Walt Schuller to get a DreamSpark account. Now, something to understand about that. Is there anyone here who is not a computer science or engineering major? Okay, because...
Oh, then you're still under.
Okay, excuse me. College of Computing or College of Engineering major? College of Computing or College of Engineering major? No? Okay, because those are the only colleges right now that are paying Microsoft for the DreamSpark license, which brings up a concern that was brought to me. If you are, once you get to the point that you're asking people to pay for your apps or you're putting advertisement into your apps, you need to look really closely at the licensing, and you may need to transfer to a BizSpark account, because the The license UNF gets you the free copy of Windows 8.1, the free copy of Visual Studios so that we can work in C#. You're not supposed to be using that for,
Actually, Aaron, can I jump in there?
yes, please do. You're the expert on this
As
one.
long as we're using this for educational purposes, it's okay for us to make money off what we're making. The clause is actually don't download Visual Studio's 2013 Professional and use it for your employer. So don't say, oh, I have access to this through UNF. So if you're using it, it's perfectly okay to collect this prize money because it's a Microsoft provided product and it's Microsoft provided money. So they strongly encourage you to use it in any sense. So just don't think you can save your employer $3,000 by downloading it through DreamSpark. So if you guys don't know or haven't joined the event page yet, this Monday we're going to be creating a Flappy Bird clone using Construct 2, which is it's an app development game engine. The reason why we're going to be doing Flappy Bird first is because we'll easily hit our 100 download mark. I submitted a Flappy Bird test application to the market earlier this week, and on the first day it had 200 downloads. So basically, if you guys come, it should take about an hour and a half to finish the app. Consider yourself making about $100 an hour just by coming to the app lab and getting it finished. Be sure that you guys come prepared with Windows 8.1, not Windows 8, Windows 8.1 installed on your computer, and Visual Studios 2013, because that's the minimum you're going to need to proceed in the app. If you guys come and try to install one of those two there, it's going to take you a good hour. You're not going to be up to speed.
Do they need Construct, or do they need Visual Studio for Construct to work to upload it?
Yes, you need Visual Studios 2013 so we can sign the Construct 2 app and load it into the marketplace. You guys can download Construct 2 when you come in, because that will take a minute to set up, but the other two take significantly longer. If you guys are worried about using Windows 8.1 as your everyday operating system, and you guys hate it, I'm not here to preach about Windows 8.1. We need it as a tool to get this stuff done. But the truth is, honestly, after a little bit of time, you don't mind it anymore. It's just anything else that's new. This start menu is very deceiving. It's not the start menu as we know it, but pretty soon you learn that you don't even need it. Everything is still accessible through the library folder. So you can still navigate anywhere on your hard drive. And actually on the Metro side, which is this side of the operating system, finding anything that you normally used to be able to find in the start menu is just as easy as typing. So the device manager. On Windows 8, this was particularly horrible, and was probably the biggest complaint about it because the search menu was very cluttered and it buried every search result. It was very hard to find anything. Now it's significantly easier. It's an easier adjustment. So if you guys haven't started adjusting to Windows 8, I'd recommend doing it, just because it's not something that's going to be going away anytime soon. There's only so long you can fight the current trend.
Windows 8 is available through DreamSpark with the account.
Yes, make sure you guys see Larry or Walt. I hear they can hook you up with DreamSpark if you just send them an email with your U number, or your N number, I'm sorry, and they'll get you set up. Then all you guys have to do is download Windows 8.1 and Visual Studios to DreamSpark. Let's see. Oh, please, if you guys are planning on coming, please RSVP on the event page, because that helps me out. I know how much pizza to buy. Yes, there'll be pizza.
Okay, I'm not a Windows user, but I would be interested to know this. So, is there any specification which you recommend for Windows 8? Like, you need to have at least 4 GB DDR3 or?
The truth with Windows 8 is it actually runs much more efficient than older operating systems. So if your computer at one point could run Vista, consider yourself golden for Windows 8. Windows 8 is much more efficient than even Windows 7 was.
It's 1 gigahertz dual core and 1 gigabyte of RAM for 32-bit, and 64-bit it's 1.2 gigahertz dual core and 2 gigabytes of RAM. So really anything that came with Vista, it's usually fine. They went with basically Windows 7, which is Windows Vista recoded. For Windows 8, they completely recoded it, so only Windows 7 apps would work with it. The Vista and XP compatibilities were gotten rid of because they wanted to make it more efficient. So it actually is more designed for tablets and everything, so the specifications aren't that bad.
Also on the event page, you'll see I put 3 steps that you guys need to complete before coming into the lab. It basically shows you where to get Visual Studio 2013 through DreamSpark. I'm going to give you guys the exact link so you guys don't have to browse around for it, and where to install Construct 2. So please go ahead and RSVP if you plan on coming. Just help me out. As far as getting used to Windows 8.1, if you guys haven't played with it before, All you really need to know is, and I don't have a touch screen so it's hard to show, but if you come over to this corner, go down, this is your charms menu where you turn off the computer. And you'll find all the PC settings have moved to change PC settings down here, and it takes you to an awkward Metro interface. It takes a little bit of getting used to, but all your important stuff is in here settings-wise. To close apps, this is really unintuitive at first. You have to drag them from the top down, otherwise they remain open in the background. If you find yourself stuck on a Metro page and you can't figure out how to get out of it, if you hit the Windows button in D, always returns you to the desktop. Something else, if you guys are on a page or an app and it seems like there should be a settings button or there should be more options available to you, stuff that's missing, check looking in the corners of the page and pulling up on the bottom menu or just right-clicking. Because what Windows did, and I can't explain why they did it, they hid options off of the screen for you to find. So if you have a touch screen, it's kind of intuitive because then you can pull menus down from the top of the page or pull menus up, and you'll find them. But other than just guessing, there's no visual clues to let you know there are any options hidden there for you. So that's something else. Did I cover everything that we needed? As you guys know, it's $50 for submitting an app guarantee. Another $50 if the app gets 100 downloads, which the Flappy Bird apps are all the rage now, so you should get 100 downloads pretty easily. I'll tell you guys where to submit the application to. It's an easy, quick form, probably takes a minute to fill out. One thing you guys are going to have to do, we'll probably do it during the meeting, so I can just walk while you guys through it once. We'll work on getting your developer license set up. It's a little bit of a process the first time, but it's a one-time thing. We get set up and out of the way so you guys can actually publish an app to your app account. Do you guys have any questions about the meeting on Monday? Are any of you guys set up or ready to go? How many of you guys are planning on attending, actually? Cool. Any questions?
Well, you just didn't say the where and when.
Time and where
Oh,
it is.
sorry, time and where it is. February 24th, 6 p.m. Monday. It's going to be in 2205 on the second floor.
Basically, the hardware lab hallway. It's at the end of the hallway. Instead of taking it right into the hardware lab, you just go straight.
Okay, I got one question. Say someone didn't have a computer, would it still be worth going to, even getting the pizza part?
You can get the pizza.
Well, I have one loaner computer, which has already been claimed by Megan. But you can comment if you just want to partner with somebody else. You can watch them go through the process.
It's going to be a good learning experience either way. So.
Yeah, you'll be learning a lot about apps and the app life cycle, and we're going to talk about what makes an app good, what consumers are looking for with an app, how you find your target niche. We'll talk about apps that are meant for everyone and apps that are meant for an audience, and we'll talk about the differences and why some succeed and why some don't. So yeah, there's stuff you can learn without actually going through the program side, but the big gist of it is to come and actually code it out as we go through it, because we're going to have somebody walking you through the process. Our guest speaker is going to be Daniel Goodwin. He's a lead developer for a small development company. He is exceptionally skilled with Construct 2 and making games using it. So he thinks we can get you all making this game in an hour. Flappy Birds. The app that makes or made $50,000 each day for each day was on the iOS and Android market. You guys can make it in an hour.
Real obvious question is 8.1 the very first version, or is there something before?
It's an
that?
update.
8.0 is the very first
So
version.
can we
and then
use that, or do you
8.1.
have to have 8.1?
You have to have 8.1. 8.0 lets Visual Studio 2013 run on your computer, and then 8.0 lets it run on your computer, and then 8.1 lets it publish apps. I don't know why there's that little difference. It's just the small technicality we have to abide by. Software limitations.
So if you have 8.0, I may have that, then does that complicate things?
If you have 8.0, it's actually an easy update. It's just a matter of going into, I don't know where my store is on here. It's a matter of going into the store app, and the first icon you see once you get into the store app, where this top here one is, should say update to Windows 8.1. And it'll take you through the process. It usually takes about an hour-ish on a slow computer to get done. So if you have a better computer, it could be significantly faster.
It's the equivalent of Service Pack 1.
Actually, let me show you guys the actual app.
It's
I
on
think
the
I might have it on here.
And that is
I think this is the test version.
Oh, good.
I have it on my computer if that's VGA, if you want to show you.
I'll just download it really quickly. I renamed my app Flappy Bird to take advantage of people who misheard the name. And so this is basically what it looks like. We're actually going to be using these same visual assets because I don't have enough time to prepare 30 unique assets for all the possible people who may come. So if you guys have time and you want to make yours look different, You're going to need 3 different assets for this application. You're going to need a background, and it could be anything. It doesn't have to be particularly good looking or complicated. You'll need an obstacle, which in this case are these pipes, and you'll need a sprite, which is my duck-looking bird right here in the middle. And these sprites could be anything. It doesn't actually have to be a bird. These don't have to be pipes. You could easily make this the bird a fish, make the background like a fish tank, and the pipes could be coral, and then you have a floppy bird under the sea rendition. Let me download
Do that
this.
all in Photoshop?
Yeah, you can do this on Photoshop. You can actually find a lot of free sprites online if you Google free sprites. The people make graphics and just want people to use them. So this is actually the app we're making. I hear it's significantly more complicated than.
It's more challenging. I've spent a fair amount of time playing it, and I got like 11 for my high score. So.
Yeah, so I submitted this in the market earlier this week just to test it out. And like I said, it drew 200 downloads on its first day. Windows is a little slow on its reporting, so it's actually been many more days since its first day. So I don't know how many downloads it actually has, but it seems to be doing pretty well. And after we get done with this app, later on in the semester, our next meeting, we'll start getting the C# and XAML. I want to introduce you guys to this first, because we removed coding from the equation and making an application because we don't realize there's a lot of overhead in creating an app. There's images, there's branding your application, naming it, which is probably the most important part of making an app. But the name makes or breaks it because it determines how easily it is to find. Writing your description, testing for your target market. There's a lot of other factors that go in. So I want to remove coding from the process this first time so we can really focus on the other side of it. And since this can be one of your first times using Visual Studio and getting your account set up, we want to expedite the process. And also, this is only going to take an hour. It's going to be significantly easy for you guys to do. You guys are going to pretty much walk in and walk out $100 richer. You guys have any questions?
What format on the sprite?
I'm sorry, what was that? PNG.
PNG,
format.
okay.
Yeah.
I like it.
Make them a little large, twice as large as you might intend to use them. You can size your game for any resolution. I typically do 1280 by 720 because Construct 2 upscales really well, but make your sprites about twice as large as you need them to be because then you can always downscale without pixelating it. Larger is better.
Okay, I heard offline, not from anybody who's attending here right now, some people who weren't happy that we were working with Windows apps, and I want to explain something. We've got somebody who's going to teach us how to do everything through apps, and this is the same thing that a lot of the same things that people right now are paying $300 to take a course here at the college. Except we've got someone who's doing it in the business right now. And at the same time, if you want to get into those other fields that are using Java and which C version does the first use?
C# is Objective C.
Objective-C. That's just tacking on another language and looking through a process. But once you're already experienced at the process, it's a lot easier breaking into it with the new language. So we've got an expert who's going to teach us on it, and later you can look at doing this in Android and iOS after having someone show you the whole roadmap of how the overarching problem is addressed. It's just like tacking on a second language for computer science once you've already learned the principles of object-oriented programming or procedural programming. That's a lot simpler because you understand the concepts.
Do you guys ever want to talk to me about other applications for Android or iOS? I am a professional application developer. I don't do just Windows. I teach Windows because Windows is particularly suited to our needs in that they throw out a lot of free resources our way. There's a lot of developer support. Visual Studios is incredibly easy to get started with, and it makes adjusting to C# painless. So that's why we go this route. But if you guys ever want to talk Android, talk iOS, you can always do that. It's just Microsoft's Visual Studio and C# interface. It's going to be really easy for us to pick up. The skills are completely transferable. It's like I said, coding and the platform, that's only one aspect of creating an application. There's so much more that goes into it. And using these tools and these resources, it just makes it much more easier for us to accomplish.
Yes, I forgot the other one. We're getting paid.
Yes, you guys will be making money to produce applications or something that can go on your resume that looks very, very impressive. Oh, so for Wednesday, for the Career Expo, you guys will be able to say you developed an application. And it may not be published by the time Wednesday hits, but most of you guys, probably all of you, if you come to the app workshop, you'll be able to say you developed your first application.
Okay. Okay, other announcement that I forgot earlier. The instructors are not elected positions, obviously. Evan has been swamped with a couple of things with his own projects and is not as experienced in C# as he is in Python and other object-oriented languages that we thought we would be having as your primary desired language for this semester. We are looking for a different programming seminar leader. We have asked a couple of people, if you are particularly expert in C#, please do talk to the AITP officers, i.e. Adrian, Evan, myself, Megan, Brittany, because those are appointed positions. Actually, I think we've talked to one person in specific, and we may be looking at other people in the future, but we're looking at one person in specific right now and just letting him know that he's kind of in the hot seat right now, in the desired hot seat if he's interested. And I'm still doing some of the research right now on MCSA. I need to put in another 4 hours before I decide whether or not it's going to be too much. And just, if you're watching this from home, feel free to shoot me an email on this. How many people would be interested in starting a study course that would take more than one semester?
Study course on what?
Microsoft Certified Solution, MCSA, Microsoft Certified Solution Associate. It used to be System Administrator. They changed it 2 years ago, and the scope of it has changed a little bit because the MCSA, it still is 3 exams. It's a lot of networking. It's how to set up, run servers, as well as with the advent of Server 2012, or is it 12 or 13 now? Excuse me, Server 2012, doing that in the cloud environment is another thing that you have to understand, where you have a surge volume that goes to another cloud, that goes to a cloud that you have rented. So who's interested in something that, starting a certification study course that will take longer than this whole semester? Okay, who's 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 11, 12. Okay, so we have a preponderance, or we have a majority. About 11 of 18 are. Anyone get a full count? I got 11 hands up.
bottom out 21.
Okay, so we've got 55%. So if there's overwhelming emails opposed, we may change that, but otherwise we're going to go carry forward. Now, so I know entering level. How many of you know what a DNS server is?
You guys need to go back to your
three.
networking courses. Too.
Okay.
A lot of us have yet to have those
So we'll
conversations.
start with basics. And actually, how many people have signed up for a Microsoft Learning account like I said in the email so far? Okay, we're starting. So please look at the emails a little bit. When I send them out, I give you one sentence long, here's what's in the email. Usually if it pertains to something that you want to do, please read that part because I may have put things you need to do before the next event. For instance, Spence has covered the same things that are in the email of things you need to do, though I had wrong. You do need Windows 8.1, not Windows 8 for Monday. And start signing up because if I'm not going to tell you to go shell out money to get an MCSA course book, it means we're going to be doing stuff online through the Microsoft Virtual Academy, which is Microsoft has a vested interest in that being good training for us. So I think you'll probably be very quality computer-based training. Any other business for the evening? Anybody got anything? Next week or week after for goodies? Okay, also, I have been told that we have ice cream donated for next Thursday. We will also have an estimate of how much ice cream will cost us in the future. So, as always, not so much and Stoffel, there ain't no such thing as a free lunch, but you always do things from self-interest and to be professionals and to get paid. We may want to buy ice cream in the future. If not, when we have ice cream things, we'll probably be doing, and who's the sponsor who is donating ice cream to us this time?
Brewster's Ice Cream.
Okay, so Brewster's Ice Cream. If you're around there and want a tasty treat, we probably want to say thank you. Anyways, that's, anybody else?
What's the name of that soup shop? Since we're doing endorsements?
Well, they haven't donated anything to us, and
Hint, soup shop.
okay,
You're watching.
the suit shop that I frequent is Joseph A. Bank. I do not walk in, and this is why we're not going to necessarily be looking for them for a commercial. My personal opinion, I do not walk in there unless there is a sale. I have a list of what I intend to buy, and then a small budget for things for me to upsell. Beyond that, talk to me offline. It is very easy to sign up for them for mailing lists, and they have amazing sales. Their $800 suit will go down to $250 at least once or twice a month. But yes, you will see the preponderance of my suits. When you see me in suits, do come from there. This shirt did too. Now that I've plugged them and told you go to them during sale days, that's it. Or anything else.
Make sure you fill out those surveys, and if you weren't here last week, try and give us one of the officers so we can get your name and your email to add to the roster, please.
So you can just fill out your respective tracks. So if you belong to the computer science track, fill in for computer science. If you belong to IS or IT, so just fill in your respective tracks.
And there's also an
That's it.
area for extra comments at the bottom
Yeah,
or on the
so,
back of
yeah.
the page.
Feel free to write extra comments.
With the comment section, I highly encourage everyone to write comments. Our school is heading in a great direction, but there's always room for improvement.
Our school is also very responsive. We have seen, The officers and a lot of the more active members here have been involved in talking to staff about certain out-of-major courses, and we have heard recent announcements as to changes in that. The school listens. This is a good thing. That's all I got. Oh, question, please. Do we have any more?
Do we have any more sheets?
Yes. Awesome.
And you don't have to put your names on these either.
Yeah, you do not need to put your names on this. They can be here, anonymous.
If you really want to.
So we lost about 10 people or 13 people from last week.
I don't think we lost them. I know I talked to a few that they're going to come next week. They're going to be at the Microsoft meeting on Monday. They just couldn't stay tonight, so.
Just let people know, and if people can't make it, we're going to get a new flyer up with the club official email address up. Please, if you can't make it to this time, start emailing there. Once we get our Blackboard site up, we're probably going to have a survey there as to what an alternate time should be. The alternate time may be as simple as a lot of people together talking and us replaying the video of the first meeting. Excuse me. But we'll figure that out in time. Once again, me, a couple other people who have signed up for membership in the Dues Paying Association, we get an email every time somebody new joins up. I haven't gotten one of those emails in at least a couple of days. Please sign up so that we can give you the opportunity to put AITP such and such position on your resume when we hold elections for the additional officers. And see you again next Thursday, 7:30. Same good time, same good place.
So,
Yes, we'll get it.
sorry.